Business Focus with Kudzi Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.
It is a business focus right here on Capi Talk. We get to discuss a couple of things that are making headlines in the world of business. You can also come through on our WhatsApp platform 0719 100404 with your questions to do with business, and Kudzi Sharara will be able to help us on that one. That's on 0719 100404. Business focus. We discuss a lot of what's happening in the world of business. Okay, so many things are happening, and we're trying to link up with Kudzi so he can update us, though he's a little bit under the weather. But we will try our best just to pick up one or two things in terms of our business focus for this morning. We have him on the line. Good morning to you, Kudzi. How are you today?
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, everyone.
Great. Get well soon.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing better than ZiG. I'm all right.
Okay. All right, Kudzi, let's begin with the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, the trading update.
Thank you, Tinashe. So the ZSP came off again yesterday with losses much stronger than the previous day, than on Friday. The all-share index coming off by 1.19%. The top 10 index also coming off by 1.1%. And then the median cap was worse off with a 1.33% drop. Just looking at the counters that dragged the market lower, ZB Financial Holdings easing 15%, EcoCash losing 13.63%, Channel 13.04%, and then Wheeldale and Econet also coming off by 3.76% and 2.55% respectively. However, the market was not short of risers, with Star Africa putting on 14.57% gain. OK Zimbabwe adding 2.67%. First Mutual Property, FDC, and ZHO also amongst risers, but with gains of less than 1%. Top in terms of where investors were putting their money, Delta about 3.7 million worth of ZiG going into Delta. Econet, EcoCash, OK Zimbabwe, and Deribot also getting a sizable amount of the funds that were invested, but less than 100,000, especially for EcoCash, OK Zimbabwe, and Deribot. So we are not seeing that much money going into the stock at the moment. And then just looking at what has happened so far in the year on the ZSP Unifreight, top riser with a still at 977%, FBC putting on 4.79%, ART 442%, National and Holdings 367%, and then Pro Plastics up by 3.42%. I was just reading somewhere Pro Plastics was previously major shareholder was Zumbani Capital, an investment fund owned by Canada Malunga, and at some point I think with Party Shanda. But news coming from the Competition and Tariff Commission is that Zumbani Capital was acquired by another investment arm called World Access Investment Managers. They bought the 22.9% equity in Pro Plastics. They also bought Zumbani Capital's 28.9% equity in Matimba Holdings. So I think it now makes sense why former Group CEO for Matimba Construction, that's Canada Malunga, who stepped down at the end of 2023. I think it was after they sold their stake in Pro Plastics and the Matimba Construction. They've since appointed a new directors, also non-executive director appointed at Matimba Construction. That's former RBZ deputy governor Kupikile Mlambo, who is now a non-executive director at Matimba Construction. I think to represent the new shareholders, that's Wealthy Access Investment Managers, who are now, I think, the major shareholder in Zumbani Capital, which is in Matimba Construction, as well as Pro Plastics. So that's how the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange performed. I think we'll continue to see a similar trend on the various feeds.
All right, Kudzi, there is a question coming in from Mujina Mushonga on our WhatsApp platform. It says that, has your hopes on the ZiG changed from its introduction to date? What has caused the massive fall in the past 2 weeks?
Look, I think, when you're analyzing things, you look at them objectively. When ZiG was introduced, I think, in fact, the first day that it was introduced, I think it was on a Friday, and then on a Monday, you asked me a question whether ZiG would work or not. And if you remember correctly, I said that I was not a prophet. I'm not sure if you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and then I think on the same day on Star FM, I was one of the analysts with Professor Gift Mgano. There was also Denford Mutashi of the retailers. There was also Persistent Gwanyanya, who is on the MPC of the Reserve Bank Monetary Policy Committee. And I was asked the same question by Linda Muriro, who hosts that program. And I said, if the RBZ governor, Dr. Mshayavanu, was going to walk the talk, and also if he was going to be allowed to walk the talk, given what he had presented in his monetary policy statement, I think ZiG had a chance of doing better than the previous, the Zimbabwean dollar. But you remember, I think even a few weeks after, we started questioning some of the things that were being done by the Reserve Bank in terms of, for example, we started by questioning even the availability of ZiG in the market to say, look, it's not available in the market. And even after they did their campaign, I remember asking the governor to say, was it successful? And he said yes. And I said, but the ZiG is not in the market. And if you withdraw your ZiG, 10 ZiG, the moment you step out of the bank, it has lost value. It's now equivalent to 50 cents instead of 70 cents. And so we have seen this coming, and we have been talking about it in terms of what needs to be done. You look at if you look at what he said. He said that when he was introducing ZiG, he said it was going to be determined. It was going to be a market-determined exchange rate. But over the weeks, we saw that it wasn't. We started to see a build-up of forex demand on the interbank market, what they call a pipeline of demand. It has been building up, and they had to intervene and inject funds, which again shows you that it wasn't a market-determined one. And so, yes, in concept, there was nothing wrong with ZiG. What they said they were going to do with regard to ZiG, everything looked fine. But I don't believe that they followed through with what they said was going to happen. So that's why we are here, where ZiG has significantly lost its value. It's trading at 100% premium. What you see on the interbank market and what you see on the alternative market, the parallel market, it's 100% premium. So it has fallen significantly, and the Reserve Bank has admitted that. So, yeah, to answer in short, Mujina Mshonga, ZiG has not performed as we expected, given the concept of ZiG. For me, there was nothing wrong with that concept, but we have not done the things that we were supposed to do with the ZiG.
And still talking about that, Kudzi, Panema issues to do with, I came across a certain manufacturer yesterday saying, can you talk about this on your business focus? Kune vanhu vanopinda mumashop handiti, and they look out for products, they are priced in ZiG. They've got money in their bank accounts, and they swipe all those products. They take them out. Voenda kunomatengesa nema US dollars. And yet the company, the manufacturer would have supplied that retailer on a ZiG invoice. But munhu akunotora zvese otengesa outside on US dollars. Should we go back to the issue here, yema product controls, and say you can't buy more than 5 products of this?
I think that's what you end up doing, that, Tinashe, to try and protect yourself because you are losing value. Somebody is coming to swipe, let's say, a loaf of bread, and they swipe 15 ZiG, and they go and sell it at $1. The same dollar fetches about 30 ZiG on the power market. So someone is benefiting from that arbitrage opportunity that has been created. But instead of limiting what people would want to buy. Because, for example, maybe I'm going for a wedding, maybe I'm going for a funeral, and I need dozens of loaves, and I need dozens of loaves, and you limit me. Then what do? Do I let people starve at the wedding or at the funeral? You see, so we don't need all that. What is needed is to come up with an exchange rate that is fair to everyone, that does not create arbitrage opportunities as we are seeing now. And so for me, the issue is on sorting out the exchange rate, making sure that there is no arbitrage between the ZiG that you see on the official market and the ZiG that you see on the parallel market. So the Reserve Bank has got its work cut out. They have so far failed to do better than the Zimbabwean dollar. What we saw with the Zimbabwean dollar, and this is on their hands. They need to fix it. So I don't think coming to control the products, which has been happening, but then as the I don't know, but the moment you start limiting products in shops, you are affecting other people who are genuinely in need of those products.
True. All right, Kudzi, there's another question here. Says that the central bank recently announced that they distributed more US dollars in the market. Why are the prices not going down yet in big supermarkets? Are they not trying to? Are they not just trying to sabotage the government?
Look, I don't know what sort of pipeline. The central bank itself admitted that there was a build-up of demand for foreign currency on the interbank market. So yes, you can say that I've injected 64 million into the market, but what was the demand like in the market? If the market was demanding 150 million, and you say, no, I've injected 64 million, yes, it's a lot of money, 64 million, but did it meet the required demand? So there's that information that the Reserve Bank has not given us to say, okay, yes, you have injected 64 million, but did it meet what was required by the market? I'll give you another example. In its statement, the Reserve Bank said forex inflows into the country had grown by 13% odd. But again, they did not tell us what has happened in terms of our import bill, forex outflow. Because sometimes maybe forex outflows have grown by 20%. So you are just telling us that inflows have grown by 13%. But what about outflows? No. So that information is needed to then make a judgment to say, okay, maybe the rate shouldn't be going up. So I think even when you remember when they introduced when they said they had injected 50 million about a month or so ago, when they said we have injected 50 million, I know one manufacturer who said that after the Reserve Bank said they had injected 50 million, he told his customers to say, now you can pay for ZiG because I can go to the bank and apply for my foreign currency. But if he got the ZiG, but before he could apply, the banks were already telling him that we don't have forex anymore. You see, so he was now stuck with ZiG once again. So yeah, the central bank can say we've injected so much, but did that injection meet demand?
So could they just slightly, let me take you back to the stock market. We've got a question here. Says, would ZB's share shedding value linked to the CBZ restructuring? Has its leadership been affected by the departures of executive levels?
Inindine tumvunzo kudzi. Wekutanga the injection yavaisa yemari yaya konge kusiri kucreate demand. Remember pakapinda ZiG, they created demand nekurisa riri shoma. And the varamba chingorisa riri shoma akusikeza kucreate demand. And the other question that I have is, the ZiG still backed by the gold?
Yeah, tough questions there. The first one, yes, I'm not sure if there's any link between the coming off of ZB Financial Holdings and what is happening at CBZ, because ZB Financial Holdings is the one of the top performers so far in the year, up by 262%. So it could be just the profit taking by investors. And then to come to your question, Patsani, the second one, where you're saying, is ZiG still backed by gold? Look, the central bank says it is backed by gold. But it's one thing to have your currency backed. Yes, you can back it by gold, but when somebody requires foreign currency, are you able to give that person foreign currency? So we can have 10 billion in reserves, right? 10 billion US dollars in our reserves. But when Pakistan then comes and say, "Nindrungulo 1 million chete," and we fail to give Pakistan that 1 million, Pakistan will go elsewhere and try and get that 1 million because some shaisa perform our market. And for as long as Arukutaga, whatever it takes for him to get that 1 million because he wants his business to continue. So you can back your ZiG or your currency by whatever amount. But if somebody who is holding that ZiG and wants US dollar fails to get that US dollar, then they will look for that US dollar at whatever price that they can get it so that they can keep their business going.
So Kudzi, in terms of the exchange rate crisis that we're having, tadzokerazve kuya kwekubvunzana kuti every day before you do any transaction utanga kubvunza futi rates. What exactly do we need to do?
Look, yesterday was a meeting. The Vice President Chiwenga and the Minister of Industry and Commerce, Mangaliso Ndlovu, they met with the business community to try and iron out the issues with regards to the exchange rate. And for the first time, we also saw, you remember that yesterday we spoke about the Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers, having issued a statement talking about and also making recommendations. And then yesterday, the Retailers Association of Zimbabwe, which is another association of retailers. Now this one, or it is made up of the likes of Truett, Edgar's, OK Zimbabwe, Pick and Pay, Spa, Food World, Houses, Electro Sales, Pelham, Metro Fish, FarmBiz, and others. This one is it represents the bigger retailers. They now finally also came out to speak with regards to challenges that they are facing, and also recommending that there has to be a market-determined exchange rate. In terms of their proposals, they said we need a market-determined exchange rate, which shows you again that the business community does not believe that we've got a market-determined exchange rate. They are also saying that they should be allowed to do what is known as discount pricing. So, for example, we've been talking about that product priced at $7.75 in US dollar as the retailers try to protect themselves. They're saying if then somebody comes into my shop and wants to pay in US dollars, I should be allowed to discount and say, if you want to pay in US dollars, I'll just badara $7.50, badara $4.50. My tax shop. But if you want to pay in ZiG, you still pay the full amount. So this is what they are also proposing to say, allow us to do what is known as discount pricing, which is not allowed at the moment because then they say, no, you're not using the correct exchange rate. So the biggest retailers in the country also came out yesterday and say, guys, we are suffering, we are making huge losses, and we risk closure. And I hopefully again the central bank and government will listen to these grievances. But like I said, there was a meeting with the Vice President and the Minister of Industry and Commerce to try and iron out things.
Kudzi. So I was disappointed kuenda kuchipatara nezuro. Ndasvika kuchipatara kublafield ukoko. Zvikanzi machine yedu iri down, but harekati kutsvagire swipe, pane swipe yatinosenzesa dzimwe nguva. And then I asked kuti for the rate, ndakaudzwa what 29.75 for dollar. Ndokudhura kwakuita kurapwa. But the official exchange rate imari, but zvipatara zvedu zvemaprivate uko 29 point something.
Yeah, what the market is just saying is that the exchange rate that is published by the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, the market does not believe that it is the true exchange rate. However, the 29 point something that you were also asked to pay, I do not believe that is the correct exchange rate as well. Because once you have got this distortion, it distorts everything. Nobody really knows the real exchange rate. People end up just stamp-stacking an exchange rate. But if you allow only a formal market to determine the exchange rate, then it may be to come...
All right.
Business Focus with Kudzi Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.